Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the most important recording projects ever. And we're continuing our series on CPO of the complete Hindemith orchestral music, box number 2. Now, the whole set has 14 CDs, right? 14, 6 plus, yes, 15 CDs. Excuse me. Yes, 15 CDs, 6 plus 5 plus 4. That's 15. And, right, 12 plus 12 plus, 6 plus 5 is 11, plus, yes, 15. And box number 2 has 5. Box number 1 had 6. So let's see what's in them. There's all kinds of interesting stuff here, particularly concertos. Now, concertos, the first box had most of, well, I think all actually, of Hindemith symphonies. There are like 6 of them. All told, the things from the operas and some of they all have nicknames and things except for the Symphony in E flat, which is just the symphony, and they're not numbered. So, and then they're like symphony-like pieces. So, it's sort of up in the air. But we have, as with previously, we have wonderful Australian orchestras. They are, let's see, not all Australian, the Tasmanian Symphony, the Queensland Symphony, the Frankfurt Radio Symphony, the Sydney Symphony was in box 1. They're all conducted by Werner Andreas Albert, wonderful soloists, and let's just go through. And there's some real discoveries here. I am not kidding. Disc number 1, box number 2, says orchestral music, film music from In Sturm und Eis. This is a selection, 13 minutes of it. Now, the entire film score has been recorded. It's almost about an hour long. It's also called in Kampf mit dem Berg or something like that, Struggle with the Mountain. But it's really a very, very good and entertaining film score. And I don't think Hindemith wrote many of those. So that's a bit of it's on here, actually, not the whole thing. Then we have Kammermusik number 1, opus 24 for small orchestra. Boy, is this a wacky piece. It's so much fun. It's for piano and a couple strings and some woodwinds and a can of sand and one note of a glockenspiel and a siren at the very end. And it's really wacky and enjoyable and delightful. Then we've got 5 pieces for string orchestra, opus 44, number 4. Selections from the Pleiner Musiktag. The Pleiner Musiktag was a day of music. Hindemith wrote these, festival things. They were, where you could play music everywhere and do all kinds of stuff. And this is excerpts of that. So, you have to listen to it. What can I tell you? But it's nice to have some of this stuff. And then the Suite of French Dances, 1948. French dances. Yes, he did a suite of French dances. Kind of cool, huh? Then we've got Kammermusik number 2. This is a piano concerto for piano solo and 12 instruments. The pianist is Siegfried Mauser, and his concert music for piano, brass, and harps, opus 49, which is one of his great works from the 1930s, well, 1930 actually. Remember, he did some concert music things, the most famous of which is the concert music for strings and brass. This is part of that series, and it's wonderful to hear. Piano, brass, and harps. Yeah, what an interesting collection or assortment of pieces. It's in 4 movements, and if you don't know it, you really ought to get to know some of it. Then we have the complete cello concertos. First, we have the Concerto for Cello and Orchestra, opus 3, a very early work from 1916. Hindemith was born in 1895, so he was just 21 when he wrote it. And it sounds very un-Hindemithy. It's in his earlier, more romantic, still kind of style. Then the Kammermusik number 3, which is opus 36, number 2, actually, for obbligato cello and 10 solo instruments. And then finally, his actual cello concerto from 1940, which contains in its slow movement one of his most beautiful melodies. It's the thing that William Walton used for his Hindemith variations. Da 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 wa da 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 da. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful work, the cello concerto. It should be played as frequently as any modern cello concerto. It's a masterpiece, and no one pays any attention to it, of course. The 4 temperaments. Well, that's a piano concerto, right? It's a concerto for piano and strings, but it's actually a ballet that's done as a theme and variations for piano and strings. It's one of his more popular pieces, or it was, and it's wonderful to hear here with Siegfried Mauser again, and his piano concerto from 1945. which is also a delightful, wonderful contemporary piano concerto. Why don't we hear it? The finale is called Tre Fontana. It's a medley, and why don't we hear that either? No, seriously. It's based on some, like, folk melody type things. It's just wonderful. All right, then we have his dance pantomime, Der Dämon, the Demon, which is really fun. It's for chamber ensemble. It's kind of like, sort of like Stravinsky's The Soldier's Tale. Think of that, and the Hindemithian equivalent, and you'll sort of know what you're in for. And his other ballet, Herodiade, orchestral recitation after Mallarbe. Well, it has Anne Gikel reciting. It's got a reciter, like what you call it, also by Stravinsky, not Prometheus, the other thing that begins with a P. It'll come to me. Persephone. Thank you. Goodness gracious. It's another ballet, big ballet, 43 minutes long. His biggest, most famous ballet, of course, is Nobilissima Visione. Is that all of it? Is that the whole thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's it. That's the whole batch. All 5 discs. You get ballets, a bunch of ballets. You get a pile of concertos, including ones you've never heard before. You got a bunch of the Kammermusiks, the concert music, and some orchestral music, including film music. Wow. What a neat collection of stuff. Who knew, right? That Hindemith wrote all of these things. It's really just... Okay. Absolutely, totally super cool, nifty, and wonderful. And you should have it, because Hindemith was a major composer. And you get 15 discs of orchestral works. That's a lot of stuff. And then there's everything else he wrote. And it's a very, very high quality. Really it is. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Give this a shot. Poor old Hindemith, his star is just waning, and it's so not fair. I object, and you should too. Take care.